Yeah, listener, I mean, if I was more tech savvy, there probably would be some more stuff there. But from what I see about our bios, we can write like a couple of sentences and it's got to go. So I did the best I could. I don't, if you can do it longer, by all means, write to me and I'll tell you. It's funny, when I got out of prison, I married my wife. And one of the things my wife, and I think which is what my wife's sister said to him is, Derek will get tired of making videos about his criminal life. And at the time I said, oh, no way, your sister doesn't know what she's talking about, blah, blah, blah. And the reality was I got tired of making videos about my criminal life. And why was that? Because I wasn't a criminal anymore. Like that part of my life, that instinct, those emotions, those things all come from a really negative place. And at a certain point, I wanted to leave it behind me. Now, I will say, fascinating about human nature. Like, I had a million people on the Crime Talk telling me, like, and by the way, that's, if you want to look, read it. Like, my book is Greed and Fear of the Golanus Crime Family, which you can get, but I know no one reads anymore these days. You can look at my Crime Talk at Derek Meyer Golanus, Meyer. That's with my middle name. And I was much more heavy into the Crime Talk than I was the fight game for a long time, because I got out. My brother had been in business with Hunter Biden. I was a documented Gambino associate, and we had been our own crime family for years. And I talked about that openly and outwardly. And a lot of people called me a fraud. Now, what's funny is, during all this time that I brought to light the fact that we were in business, my criminal family was in business with Hunter Biden and whatnot, finally, the Republicans realized, hey, we can use this. And by the way, I will say this to you too. I don't know, obviously, but I'm going to put it out there. Nobody started calling them the Biden crime family till about 2020 election, right? That was when my book came out in like 2018. So they were taking little pieces of it to try to make their case, and then finally, when Trump was coming back and Biden was in office, they actually called my brother before Congress to testify, and they used a Wall Street Journal article that I planted. Now, can I prove I planted it? Of course I can't. But what I did is I had a friend send an email to the Wall Street Journal based on my letter, talking about my book, talking about the Gambinos, talking about Biden and all that. And what the reporters did at the Wall Street Journal, and by the way, my email and their article were about 2 weeks apart max. What the reporters did is they took everything from court records rather than this crazy incarcerated man that's writing them. Like they downplayed that. So when Comer called my brother before Congress, he cited that Wall Street Journal article. I even got my brother John Durham. Like I wrote to John Durham, and he wrote me back. But I don't know what my brother said to John Durham to mess that up. I'm sure it was something. I'm sure it was my dad's idea. They're constantly working those angles, and they're constantly stepping on their own toes. But the nub of it is my brother got a sentence commuted. And then, by the way, he deserved it commuted. I mean, by all means. Look, first of all, was Hunter protected by the Southern District of New York? You're absolutely right. Hunter was protected. And number two, criminals in this country who testify, I don't care where, whether it's before Congress or in court, get time off their sentence. My brother deserved his pardon. Now, my brother and father are walking around saying, yeah, it was the lawyer who got us off. They got him a Trump-appointed lawyer that eventually made the deal with Trump. And yeah, that's true. But if I didn't set it up like a bowling pin for him, they never would have gotten anything. But egotistical, arrogant people, like they will never change. It's funny. Since I've been out, I met a guy as arrogant as my father and brother, but stupid. And that's just funny to me because my father and brother are both smart men. My father's exceptionally smart and well-read. My brother's not as well-read, but probably sharper in the finance aspect of it. But arrogance is something that crosses intelligence lines. And high IQ doesn't necessarily equate to intelligence, right? Like yes, that certainly does, but it doesn't necessarily equate to arrogance. So look, I talk about the fight game now because it was something I loved. But if you listen to a lot of my videos, what do a lot of people do in the fight game? Just like with my criminal stuff, they go, that's not true, this never happened. I'll tell you one thing very, very interesting. They can say whatever they want about me, but whether we're talking about crime or whether we're talking about the fight game, when I talk about something that happened, it happened. And then people want to sit there and act like it didn't happen. Nobody ever calls me out on a fact in my book and says, that's not true. Nobody. They hide, they say cheap things, they make insults, but nobody actually calls me out on what's actually said or written or spoken. So yeah, there it is, listener. Sorry I can't give you more about my crime talk. Go on TikTok, it's still there, it'll be there forever. And read my book, Greed and Fear, if you want to. Everybody like and subscribe to my channel for more fight game stuff.